Hello everyone. Today in this video, I'll be teaching you about the French defense. We will be learning about it from the white side and as well as it from the black side. So, I'll be showing you how to play it from the white side and ultimately you'll know the knowledge how to play it from the black side as well. I'll tell you my recommendations after the video. So, please do watch it till the end. So, let's start with the French defense. So, in French defense, we start with e4 and black responds with e6. So this is the French defense. As you can see, this is the opening name which comes here. So it's called the French defense. So it's only played against the e4 setup. Okay, if a person plays e4, then only you can play the French defense. Now here, black always wants to play d5 and always want to attack on the center. But we eventually have got a chance to take the center. So we will take the center by playing d4. There are a lot of variations after knight f3 and knight to c3 and different lines and openings after bishop to c4 as well. But the main line is d4. When we play d4, it's called the normal variation. As you can see top above here. Now, opponent obviously strikes back with d5. This is the best move here because whatever you play, I get a lot of central advantage. So you start with d5 and now there are three options. We can either take the pawn, we can push, and we can even defend it. So, if you take the pawn, then you take back, and then the pressure is released on your opponent. It's very easy position for him to play, and for even you to play. But you always want to have that little point of advantage. Always want to have a slight edge. Sorry for that. So now you might be watching this e5 move. I mean, like, this is the most common move and it's called the advanced variation when the pawn advances onto e5 and you get a little bit of space and you get a little bit of advantage by these central pawns being powerful for this development of knight. So now as black you have to be quick and you do not have to give your opponent a lot of chances. So you have to play c5 to lash out in the center. You have to break through the center. Now as white, you never have to take this pawn. You never ever have to take the pawn. What happens is you make this pawn weak and then after like takes, you get this bishop out and it's a very good advantage. Like as you can see, you should not take the pawn. What we should do here is play c3. This obviously defends this pawn because now if you take, which is a bad move, you should not take. And if you take, the pressure is released again. So 90% of the people play knight to c6. Now as black, the main intention or the main aim for black is to pressurize this pawn non-stop. This is the main asset for black. And after you get into the middle game position, you have to attack from these, files to the king side or to the queen side. Depends on what your opponent plays. But now as white, we have to keep defending this pawn and ultimately have to have a king castle and then start an attack on the king side or the queen side. It depends on how our opponent plays. But now, if we play something like c4, locking up the position more, we can do many things. As you can see, the evolution bar raises up and shows 1 point, advantage for white. And here, to show you the proof, I can show you computer knowledge and show you knight f3 is showing b5 and everything. I mean, now after this, your position is very easy. Now you have to get this bishop somehow here on the c2 and attack this diagonal. And sooner or later, you'll push b3 pawn to break this structure and you'll attack ultimately. But now, after c5, you play c3 and now knight to c6 is the main move here, the most natural move as you're pressuring this pawn. Now here we cannot do anything but you have to play knight to f3, defending the pawn. A very useful move here is queen to b6, further pressuring this pawn. Now there's a very small trap for you to set up which comes after bishop to d3. It looks like that we are losing a pawn here like this and after knight takes, this is all over for black because you can take the knight and after the queen takes, there's a powerful discovered check and ultimately you have to give the queen away. So see again, if you're playing it against beginner players, you can try this trap. But I would not recommend you to try this trap. I recommend here you to play a3 here. This looks like a stupid move. Why? Because it like Oh, come on. In opening, you're playing a3, not doing anything, no piece development, no castling, no taking the center. It looks rubbish. But the problem here is the best part of a3 here is you have to play b4, threatening to take the pawn. So imagine here the best move or the most two common moves here are bishop to d7 and knight to h6. Let's discover knight to h6 first. So after knight to h6, what we have to do is this knight has to come to f5. Okay, so again we can't play bishop to d3 here, again threatening that trap. What we'll do here is play b4. Now whatever pawn he takes with, you're gonna take with the c pawn. If you take this pawn, this and then we're gonna play bishop to d2, and we'll never lose this pawn. But if you take this, then also we take this pawn, and then again we open up this bishop. And remember, in these positions, this bishop will always be on b2 or either will take the knight. Okay. Okay. Now let's discover bishop to d7. Oh, sorry. So after bishop to d7, you still play b4. Now the main threat is, if you don't take, we're gonna take and lock up the position on this side, and then we're gonna build up an attack on the king side. But if you take any of the pawns, we're gonna take this. We're gonna play bishop d2, get a knight on d2. Bishop b2, get a knight on d2, and see where to develop this bishop. And imagine after bishop to d2, like after c captures b4, he plays something like rook to c8, a very common and usual move in this position. So you play bishop to b2, okay, and then imagine maybe this move, trying to come here. You can play something like knight to d2, so this pawn is not again threatened. And now if the knight comes to f5, we play knight to b3. Now we are still defending this pawn by now many pieces, so it cannot be taken. And then in many positions we threaten knight to c5. It's a very powerful knight, and if you take with this, we take this, and now we have a very good position. But we have to be careful while we play this. When we take this bishop is also hanging, so we have to save it or we have to move it afterwards. But now let's leave it for right now. So this is the main position you get, and like after you develop everything, you can castle, and then you get a standard position, and whatever your opponent plays, you have to act according to that, and you'll be fine. But just remember the opening play. Let's come here, e4, e6, and then you play d4, okay? Now after d5, you don't take, you play e5. And after c5, don't take, you have to play c3. And then, after that, your opponent might take, might not take. If you take, no problems. We are not going to take with the queen, but with the c pawn. So it will be very easy for us then. But after knight c6, we have to keep defending the pawn. And as black, we have to keep attacking the pawn. The main aim for black is to win this pawn and then get counterplay on each side. But as white, we have to be defensive and always, look out for opportunities for tactics or to attack the king or to attack the queen side. So after this, every position, you have to get a position like this, where your pawns will be like this. Your knight will be always guarding these pawns. Your bishop might come to b2, knight to d2, and then maybe bishop to e2. So this will be your position, and even you have to try to castle. So thank you so much for being here till the end. I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe, and tell me in the comments which video do you want next. Bye bye. Thank you.